Hello, friends. If you're new, welcome. Why don't you go down and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes. For my fans and subscribers, I really do appreciate you. Today, I'm going to be talking about Jim Jones and growing People's Temple. There's not much else I need to say. Let's get on with the video. The church grew in the late 1950s. Among the new recruits came people who over time would become part of Jones's inner circle, his trusted advisors. The first was Russell Winberg, associate pastor of Laurel Street Tabernacle, who left after being passed over for lead pastor. After that disappointment, he joined the staff at People's Temple. For Jones, this proved that an educated, ordained minister was willing to join his ministry. Even though his church was growing, Jones continued with the revival circuit, speaking regularly in Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. Jones wanted to cut costs as much as possible to save the money for temple programs. Therefore, he found volunteers in each state to feed and house him and his entourage at no cost. He named the people responsible for finding these volunteers state coordinators. In South Charleston, Ohio, Jones met Patty Cartmel, a woman obsessed with the apocalypse, and she became convinced that Jones was the prophet she had been looking for. She considered it an honor to be chosen as a coordinator. She obeyed all instructions without question and became his eyes and ears at out-of-town gatherings. She would slip Jones crucial information for his quote-unquote healing and revelation. Ross Case, a young minister determined to integrate his own church, heard about Jones and sought him out for advice. Jones agreed and asked Case to join People's Temple. In turn, Case suggested Jones affiliate the temple with the Disciples of Christ denomination, which advocated for more community outreach by congregations. It was a win-win proposition. The Disciples denomination would gain an impressive example of what all congregations should be doing, while affiliation would provide a legitimacy and tax-exempt status to the temple. The clincher was that the denomination gave autonomy to each congregation. In an attempt to avoid the disaster of trying to join the Quakers, Jones was more careful this time. He discussed potential affiliation with the entire congregation for several weeks before calling for a vote, which was overwhelmingly in support of affiliation. From there, Jones and Case made an application which was accepted due to the temple's record on integration and community works such as the free restaurant and free clothes shop. The only caveat was that Jones needed a college degree before he could be fully certified. He was allowed to stay on as head pastor while he attended Butler University at night to earn his degree. He transferred as many credits as he could from Indiana University. Meanwhile, Case left the church he was head of to serve as associate pastor. Jim Jones had already accomplished a lot, helping the poor and elderly, opening a free restaurant and clothing store, successfully integrating his church. Plus, he was newly affiliated with a prestigious denomination. If he never did anything else, people would agree that he'd done a lot. However, the Directorship of the Human Rights Commission, which paid $7,000 annually, opened up, and Jim could keep his outside job. The position was essentially honorary, and the director didn't do much but preside at meetings that were plenty of talk but no action. There was only one applicant, Jim Jones. Immediately after he took office in 1961, things started to change radically. Even though Indianapolis in 1961 did not go as far as fire hoses and police dogs being loosed on black protesters, there were nevertheless less overt hostilities between the races. Blue-collar whites had just recently gotten to enjoy some comforts of life, such as jobs that paid more than subsistence wages and houses in good neighborhoods. These people considered integration to be a threat. Most were of the opinion that they had worked hard for their advances, while blacks were just reaping the rewards of government-mandated integration. By the way, I do not agree with this stance. I just have to report the facts, and that was a fact back then. Since Jones's new position as director of the Human Rights Commission inherently lacked authority, he had to somehow overcome this hurdle to realize his vision of integration. Enter the Indiana General Assembly, that around that time passed legislation which mandated equal opportunity for state employment and equal access to all public accommodations. Although this legislation did not affect privately owned businesses. Jones, though a visionary, was also pragmatic. The economic segregation of Indianapolis would have to be tackled from the bottom to the top. So instead of corporate owners, he started with small businessmen who understandably took great pride in their achievements. He began with white-owned cafes and restaurants because these businesses routinely turned away black diners, although in a more passive-aggressive rather than overtly racist way. This generally took the form of prospective black diners being told that reservations were required. If the diners then asked for a reservation, they were told that everything was full, even when one could clearly see that it wasn't. The Joneses regularly dined at medium-priced restaurants, either as a couple or with the Haldermans. Now, however, they started bringing black friends. When they did this, they were told that they needed reservations, but they said that this had never been the case before. They politely but firmly stated that if no table was available, they would wait. Sometimes they were seated, although with subpar food and horrible service, the restaurant was clearly discouraging them from coming back. Most often, though, they were left waiting until the restaurant closed. Either outcome suited Jones and his agenda. He returned alone the next day, asking to speak with the owner, not letting up till he did. Jones would then ask for the restaurant to begin serving black diners with the same quality of food and service as white diners. He was always refused at this time, but Jones asked the owner to reconsider. He would be by to talk again. When he came back, they would indeed talk again. In this conversation, he would build rapport with the owner and empathize, explaining that he understood how much work was involved in starting and maintaining a small business. He wasn't trying to cause trouble. He was suggesting integration as a way to boost business. If the owner still refused, Jones would show up with a crowd of protesters to picket peacefully, and he told the owners that they would picket peacefully. Now, he never had to picket because they just went ahead and integrated. As for the carrot, when the first of the owners gave in, Jones would arrive with more customers, usually members of People's Temple. Since most members were poor, meals were paid for out of the general treasury of the church. They usually arrived at off hours, which provided the restaurant with more business, while at the same time not driving away regular customers. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. My Twitter, Discord, email, and PayPal links are in the description, along with the source that I use for this episode. If you wish to contact me, Twitter is the best way, followed by email. Please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. You may also leave requests for shows down there. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye.